This is a review of the game Casting Shadows by Unstable Games. I kept seeing this game at Target, and my son and I really enjoy playing Here to Slay, which is also by Unstable Games. And I kept thinking about buying it, but looked at the back and read the back and couldn't pull the trigger on it. But eventually the game was on sale, and I couldn't resist. So I picked it up, and I'm really glad I did because the game is a lot of fun. In fact, my wife even plays this game, which is absolutely mind-blowing. Her game that she likes to go to is things like Categories. I know, a lot of fun. Anyway, so I get her to play, get the kids to play. Really fun game. It goes quick. And this is a quick little review about the game and what I like about it and how it plays. First of all, you get to pick your character here. And the character choices are Haze Greentongue, Nuzzle Thornwood, Frill Lilypad, and Kit Gale. The cool thing is these guys look fun, playful, but once you are able to collect 3 of these shadow fragments here, at the beginning of your following turn, you can change into your shadow form, which is a lot scarier, more powerful version of your former character here. So I'll just show you those here real quick. Each one of the shadow form characters has a special ability they can use if they collect some more of the shadow fragments, and we'll show you real quick how that works. But first, I'm just going to pick some of these guys up here just to make it a little easier. Get those guys out of the way there, and we'll just get Greentongue out here. He's one of the popular ones among the kids. They like to play him. So we'll get him back down to 0. Everybody starts with 18 hit points. And really, the only thing that matters in your character selection is the ability you're going to get in your shadow form and where you start on the board. The game tells you to start with the youngest player first. These 3 tiles in the middle are always lined up like that. The first player, or the youngest player, goes here, and then the second player, and then the third player, and the fourth player. So depending on which character you're playing and which order you are in the age group, you will set the other 4 tiles up around the outside. And you can notice here at each location, there's something you can do. There's a spell you can buy here at each location here. And the Dusty Desert has these counter spells you can buy. If someone tries to attack you, you can do something back to them. Pretty cool. So just show you real quick the player reference card here. This shows you all the actions that you can take during the game. Keep in mind here, you get 4 action points. So with Here to Slay, you get 3. It's a little bit easier to keep track of. This game, you get 4. And sometimes it's hard to keep track of. It's funny, you look around the table and all the kids have their fingers up like this. Oh, you've got 2, you've done 3. It's a little bit harder to keep track of. The cool thing is in real life, you don't have to keep track of your action points. You can take as many actions as you want to. Once you take your 4 actions, the kids just hate sitting there waiting for their next turn before they can take more actions. Remember, in real life, you don't have to wait for your turn to take actions. If you're dissatisfied with your situation, take some action, do something. You're not limited to the number of actions or when you can take them. So think how fun this game would be if your guys just sat right here and didn't do anything and waited for something to happen to them. It wouldn't be that fun. So if you're upset with where you are in your situation and you want to win, I'm going to move over here and I'm going to move over here and I'm going to start taking some actions and make something happen in the game. So guys, remember, once you're done playing your games, put them away and think, what am I going to do right now to take some action in my life to improve my life? Do it. You'll be rewarded for it. You'll level up in real life. So with that said, what are the actions you can take in this game? Okay, so there's a bunch of them here, and they're pretty straightforward. Travel. You can take 1 action point to move from one hex to another, 1 space away. Okay, move over here like that. We'll take 1 action point. Collect. You can spend the required resources to collect one of these spells. Now, don't get confused here. It shows here the required resources that you need to collect the spell. A blue orb and a red gem. If you see a grayed out icon like this, it means it can be either blue or red. And you'll notice on your turn, you'll roll these dice. Okay, so you're gonna shake these dice up and roll them all out like that. And here's what you got. Okay, I got a couple of blue orbs here. I got a couple of red gems. This purple gem, you'll notice, is blue and red combined. So this can be a blue red gem or a red gem. It can be either one that you want. And the same thing is the case for the orbs here. You can get purple orbs, I think, sometimes. It's on this one, yep. So you can get a purple orb. This, I'll just show you, is a, I didn't roll one. Where's that? Is a cursed crystal, which usually is bad, but it can be good if you know how to use it properly. Okay, so right now I'm right here. One of the action points I can use is to collect Bubble Trouble. I'm gonna need a blue orb and a blue gem. Now I happen to have a blue orb and a purple gem, so I can use that for blue or red. I'll discard those, and I will take Bubble Trouble, and I will add it next to my character board here. And once that happens, you come over here to the deck, you grab a new one, oops, and you flip that over, and that's the new one to replace that. Now keep in mind, next to your character board here, you have 6 slots, and 5 of those are reserved for the spells and items you will collect as you're venturing around the board. The 6th and final one is for a companion that you will earn once you change into your shadow form. And you can see those companions are up here. There's 3 of them out, and as soon as somebody takes one of them, a new card is laid out. The companions will give you some kind of added benefit, like an additional damage. You'll be able to heal one. The Cursed Raccoon lets you re-roll the Cursed Crystals, which you can't normally do. Okay, and so let's check out some of the other actions here. Collect, refresh. So if you're dissatisfied with this card, I don't like this card, I want to see what else is out there, you can use a refresh action to discard this and grab a new one. Okay, that's one action to do that. Okay, the next action is the re-roll. We just talked about that a second ago. I've already spent these dice, so I can't re-roll them. I can re-roll any number of these dice except the Cursed Crystal. I can't re-roll that. I don't need 2 red gems. I'm going to spend an action point and re-roll these. Oh no, I got another Cursed Crystal. That's terrible. So you're able to re-roll, but not the Cursed Crystals unless you have the Cursed Master Raccoon. Okay, again, these guys will give you some kind of added benefit to the game once you change into your shadow form. So you can re-roll the dice as an option. You can protect, and that's going to come in handy right here. In order to protect, I'm going to take an action point to get rid of a Cursed Crystal. But again, that takes an action point. You only have 4 for the game. I can spend another one to get rid of this if I have one left over. Now, at the end of your turn, every Cursed Crystal that has not been eliminated, you will take 1 damage, okay? There is 1 spell in the deck that uses this to damage people, which is a pretty good one. There's other spells that will transform it. So let's talk about that, the different kinds of spells. If you notice there's red ones and blue ones. The red ones are attack spells that you'll be able to attack somebody else. And the one we just bought here, the Bubble Trouble, this is the cost to buy the spell. And you'll notice here it says spend 1 blue gem to deal 3 damage to an enemy in range, okay? So this is the cost to buy it. Over here it tells you the cost to use it, 1 blue gem. And you can use that as an action, which is the very last action on the card here, is cast one of your spells by spending the appropriate currency here. Now notice here, there's a little range board right here. You are this little pawn, and that's just saying you can attack somebody with this spell 1 space away, but not on your own space, okay? Let me see if there's one out here. There's not. Oh, here's one. With this spell, you can attack someone on your same space, but nowhere else. And again, this doesn't have to be at this location on the board. It can be anywhere. It's just saying only on your same space. And this one's saying only 1 space away. This one's pretty cool because you just deal 2 damage to an enemy on your current hex. You don't have to spend anything. This one's not too bad, except you got to be on the same space. Okay, so those are the actions you can take. Again, as far as casting the spells, the red ones are attack spells. All the blue ones are called conversion spells. Okay, this one's going to take a shadow fragment and a gem of any color because it's gray. And you're going to turn 1 Cursed Crystal in your resource pool into 1 gem. So pretty sweet. Again, that takes an action point to do that. So I rolled this Cursed Crystal and I thought, yeah, I'm going to change this into, well, there's only red gems on here, so I guess it's a red gem. Okay, now when you roll your dice, anything that you don't spend, you lose, with the exception of the shadow fragments. Now you'll notice on some of the cards, these are required to buy the card. If you don't spend your shadow fragment, you absorb it at the end of your turn. Once you get to 3 shadow fragments here, remember, this happens at the end of your turn. So my turn's over and I absorb this, I get to 3 shadow fragments. At the beginning of my next turn, I can transform into my shadow form. Pretty cool. And I get to choose one of my companions here. The Sharp Hedge is pretty cool. Each time an enemy deals more than 1 damage to you with an attack spell, you deal 1 damage back to them. So I'm going to take Mr. Sharp Hedge here. He's going to be added to my slots here. Again, I've only got 2 spell slots left. And then there's going to be a new one turned over here. There is one other item here that hasn't come up yet. Let's see if we can get it to come out. There it is, coming out of the deck here. Every now and again, one of these slots is going to be filled with a resource. Okay, now as one of your actions, you can collect this. There's no cost. You can collect it, and then whenever you choose, this can become a blue gem without using an action point. Okay, so I'm playing the game and I think, I need another blue gem. Oh, right here. I'll just discard this. Bam, and now I got a blue gem. Add that to my pool and I can use that, but then the card goes away. So every now and again you get a resource card here that you can collect. Oh, there's an orb that you could collect. The cool thing is if you collect the gem as your action, and then an orb flips over, you can collect the orb as your next action. But again, 4 actions is total what you get. These are all the actions that you're able to take. The board does matter where you're at on the board because each of these spaces does something at the beginning of your turn, okay? And one of them I really despise because my son loves to hang out on the Amber Mountain. The Amber Mountain, if you are alone there, you cannot be damaged by attacks. And it's the worst. He just hangs out over here. Would you leave the Amber Mountain? So if somebody else moves to the Amber Mountain, now neither character's alone, they can both be attacked, okay? Or if you move on to the Amber Mountain and you have something like the Fatal Fronds here, you can attack someone in your same space. Now you can attack him because he's not alone anymore. So that's the benefit of the Amber Mountain. The Floating Lake, if you start your turn on the Floating Lake, you're going to get for free a blue gem. And that's going to be added to your pool, and you roll your dice, and you're going to get to use that from the Floating Lake. Up here in the Dark Forest, you are going to collect a red orb if you start your turn in the Dark Forest. If you are in the Mushroom Cave, you take 1 less damage from all attacks. So those are the 4 player boards that the characters will start out on. The 3 middle ones here, if you are on the Dusty Desert, you have the option to buy a counterspell, which are pretty handy. So you got to spend an action to move your guy over here. You got to spend an action to buy a counterspell. To buy a counterspell, you will use 1 orb and 1 gem of any color. It doesn't matter what colors they are. Just 1 orb and 1 gem and an action, and you can take a counterspell. Okay, this one, Safety Dome. Reveal this card when an enemy deals damage to you. Reduce that damage to 0. Pretty cool. There's other counterspells where you damage them back. Other counterspells where you can run away or reduce the damage. So the Dusty Desert can come in handy if you want to grab a counterspell. If someone's pounding you with attacks, jump over there and grab a counterspell. The Ancient Ruins in the middle of the board here will heal you 2 hit points, not to go above your maximum, if you start your turn on the Ancient Ruins. So if you're kind of getting whittled away, you might want to finish your turn. I'm going to do some action. I'm going to finish my turn over here. So at the beginning of my next turn, I can get healed 2 life, okay? And finally, the Underground Volcano. At the beginning of your turn, you will receive 1 Shadow Fragment. So if you're feeling short on Shadow Fragments and you want to bump these Shadow Fragments up here, so you can either turn into your Shadow form or use the special ability here at the bottom once you are in Shadow form. Hang out over at the Underground Volcano and you'll be able to gather that. Now, what happens is, again, they're all different. Spend 5 Shadow Energy to deal 5 damage to a Hex tile in range. Okay, sometimes it will say to an opponent, that's 1 person, a Hex tile. Okay, if all these guys are hanging out over here, and check out your range. Everywhere, doesn't matter where you are. Okay, it can be on your same space and it can be 1 or 2 spaces away. I'm gonna deal 5 damage to both of these. So pretty cool. The problem is we have never lasted long enough in the game. I think we've used the ability like 1 time. For some reason, people are just savage and go after each other and player gets eliminated. A lot of times we will transform into Shadow form, but most of the time players get eliminated before we even get to use this. I think we've used it 1 time. Another character heals, other characters can do damage and so forth, but they all have a different ability that they use on the back of their board. The thing that I like about this game, it's really easy to set up. You'll see here, it doesn't take up a ton of table space here. You just need the general map, the deck of cards over here. These are supposed to go in the discard pile. The deck of cards over here, your companions you can get, the counter spells, and then everybody's board is going to need 6 slots over here to place their spells next to as they go around the table. So it's really easy to set up. It's not that complicated to learn. All the kids, I've had my son, 7 years old, I think it says 10 and older. I have a 7-year-old who's played this game, and he's a little slow on his turn, and we have to kind of coach him a little bit, but he's able to play, and he's able to read the cards and kind of understand what they do. But most importantly, my wife plays. And so I am just super stoked about that she actually plays this game with me. The thing that I don't like about the game is I feel like sometimes when you roll the dice and you get a really terrible dice roll, there's not a lot you can do. You look over here and you think, okay, well, let's see. To buy this, I need a gem and an orb, a blue orb and a red gem. And you might not have those. So you can replace the card, but then that takes up an action point. Or if you end your turn and you have no dice left and 1 action point. What do I use my action point with? I could get rid of this card. I could move here and get healed 2 life. I don't know. So if you get a bad roll, it can be kind of a bummer on what to do with your action points. And sometimes I've seen my son's given up 3 action points. He's re-rolled once and didn't get what he wanted, and maybe he got rid of these as a protect action. I can't remember, but sometimes that's kind of a bummer with what you get there. It's a little bit of luck of the draw on the spells that show up, but there's enough of a variety here that you have 5 available to you at any one time. And if you don't like the spells, you can cruise on over to the Dusty Desert and buy yourself Counterspell to protect yourself. Now, speaking of spells, one thing that I almost forgot about is you'll notice here, this is a little more powerful spell that's level 2. Okay, these other spells on them, they say level 1, and these transform abilities are level 1 as well. So if I want to buy this level 2 spell, I'm going to need 2 Shadow Fragments as well as a level 1 spell. And because it's gray, it doesn't really matter what it is. Okay, so I'm going to need to roll my dice here, and I'm going to need at least 2 Shadow Fragments, either that I collect from the Underground Volcano or from my dice roll, and then I'm going to need to discard one of my level 1 spells. And let's see here. I don't really like this one very much, so I'll discard this one over to the discard pile here, and I will collect this level 2 spell, which is a little bit better. Spend 1 Cursed Crystal to deal 5 damage to a Hex in range. Oh, yes, there's 2 to use. I thought there was only 1. Another Cursed Crystal one. Cool. Cursed Crystal, 5 damage. So then you're going to want to roll these things. I hope I roll one of these. I mean, just one of them, because you can only use each spell 1 time. And once you use it, you're not able to use it until your next turn. So again, easy game to set up, easy game to play. It comes in a little small box here, so you could take it traveling with you and play like on vacation or something at a hotel room. Doesn't take up a whole ton of room on the table here, depending on how many people are playing. I will say another drawback is 2-player is a little lackluster, just because, like I said, if I'm playing with my son, he'll hang out on the Amber Mountain and I'm running around buying things, and I can't attack him unless I get something I can attack him on the same space. And there's not very many of those spells to attack someone on the same space. So with more players, it kind of spreads things out a little bit more, because now I can jump on this space and other people can attack him for trying to hang out on the Amber Mountain and be protected. So it's a little more fun with 3 or 4 players. 2 players is still a good time, but it's just a little bit lean just because there's not as much going on, and it's easy to hang out on the Amber Mountain here and be protected. So anyway, really cool game. You guys might want to check it out. Any comments? If I missed any rules, please throw them down in the comments, and I'd love to hear what you have to say. Remember, guys, take some action. Don't wait for your action points to be refilled. Don't wait for your turn. If you're dissatisfied with where you are, move. Move on. Buy something. Take some actions and be heroes. Take care, guys.